Intel, your favorite semiconductor company, did amazing earnings. We can see investors are super excited. The stock is up over 8% today. So, in today's episode, what I want to do the following. First, I know this video might be a little bit later than the earnings release. I wanted to take a closer look and really listen into the earnings call so I can share as much information as I can. I know a lot of you guys enjoy this channel for all the amazing semiconductor content. So, I want to make sure to bring as much great value to you. I also want to say that Intel shared a lot of great insight about the market, especially obviously for the semiconductor industry. So later on today or early tomorrow morning, I will also be dropping a video on how AMD and NVIDIA investors should kind of see Intel's earnings. I do believe it's very, very bullish for NVIDIA and somewhat bullish for AMD. There are some headwinds that I think AMD investors might want to kind of consider. So I'll definitely be doing another video on this. But today, I want to just take a closer look on an overview on Intel and obviously why are investors so excited and kind of just share my overall thoughts. So let's get started. All right, so first let's start off with executive summary. The company did beat quarter two on revenue, gross margins, and earnings per share based on what the company kind of expected earlier on. They did return to profitability, and they are expecting a modest second half 2023 recovery. And that's what we're hearing a lot, that, hey, the market, at least in one of the big growers we're going to see is kind of the client market kind of returning a little bit more as inventory levels are getting better, right? And that's obviously helping this company out a nice amount. We are going to see revenue was 12.9 billion. Unfortunately, it was still down 15% year over year, but it was roughly $9 billion above April's outlook. Gross margins were 39.8, still above April outlook. Earnings per share was 13 cents when the company a quarter ago pretty much thought they were going to be on the negative side. So overall, things are looking pretty good. The company really kind of has numerous markets. I do believe there are three main industries that all Intel investors should really follow. That is their process and manufacturing, their client segment, and obviously their data center group. So for those in their process manufacturing, right, they do mention that they're trying to hit 5 nodes in 4 years. And right now within this innovation, the company is doing really well. Intel 7 is in high volume manufacturing already. Intel 4 is ramping their Meteor Lake production. Wafer starts and expect to launch in the second half of 2023. I'm pretty excited about Meteor Lake. Meteor Lake is going to be one of the first products where they're kind of doing a little bit of maybe of chiplet design, which is going to be pretty interesting. Maybe not the first product, but one of the main products consumer-wise, where we're going to start to see that chiplet design, where they're going to be kind of outsourcing certain chips and going to be obviously producing some of their own chips, which I do believe is going to kind of help this company lead in increase that performance in kind of their consumer products. Inside Intel 4 and inside Meteor Lake, the company is also kind of creating an AI chip, which is trying to bring some form of AI workloads to local devices. This is something we're hearing a lot from a lot of big companies. We saw earlier I believe was it last week or 2 weeks ago, where Microsoft was talking about bringing certain AI workloads to the local market or to the PC, right? So we are seeing that Intel is obviously focused in this space as well. The company also mentioned that, hey, Intel 3, Intel 20A, and Intel 18A are on track. And these are where Intel 18A is where the company believes that they're going to start to outperform the current leaders, which is TSMC, and they do believe that they will be better, obviously, than Samsung. Some great news here. They are also kind of increasing in backside power via. We did talk about this in a previous episodes, that the company did see some test chips and some notable performance and efficiency gains. So overall, the company is really moving along pretty great in their process leadership. I personally want to say that I would be shocked now the way that the company, obviously we're already half in. We already see that Intel 4 is in ramping. They still need to kind of be in schedule with Intel 3, Intel 20A, and obviously Intel 18A. But it does seem like right now they are heading in the right direction. So I want to take a closer look more into what we saw from their earnings call because obviously everybody can come here and can kind of read the earnings presentation. So first, I want to take a closer look at their client consumer group. And their client group revenue was down 12% year over year, but we can see that the operating margins was up versus a year ago. So operating margins last year was 11%. This year was 15%. During the earnings call, the company mentioned that hey, they are seeing better inventory corrections, and that is a great thing, right? Obviously, this is a company that provides a lot of client CPU products for laptops, for desktops, for the enterprise world, for obviously the consumer tech. So I do believe we are kind of getting into the bottom in the second half of the year. We're going to see better improvements in the client computing group, and this is going to be a nice money maker for Intel. I do believe that's also going to bode well for AMD, but like I mentioned, I will do that in another video. I also mentioned, like we saw here, that Meteor Lake is coming out will come out in the second half of this year, and they do mention that they are bringing AI to the PC at scale. And one of the analyst questions was like, "Hey, why are we trying to bring AI to scale?" Right? And one of the main reasons is there's going to be certain solutions, for example, real-time translation or real-time kind of caption closing, stuff that require real-time solutions are going to be needed to be done locally. So obviously with Internet of Things, there are a lot of market opportunities. Obviously in the computer market, with things like content creation that we're seeing globally, there are a lot of use cases where we're going to need real-time and local AI hardware. So the client computing group is expected to go up quarter over quarter, and I do believe this is kind of showing the bottom of the market, and this bodes well for the overall semiconductor industry. Now, my favorite segment that they talk a little bit about was the data center market, and in the data center market, they showcased a little bit of bullish and some bearish thoughts. All right, guys, but before we take a closer look at the data center market, if you are enjoying the episode, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 30,000 subs by the end of the year, so all the help is appreciated. If you want to learn more about the semiconductor market, I do have a membership program. I just dropped another weekly exclusive video there where I share a lot of great content about the semiconductor space. And finally,
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
first, I want to talk about the bearish thoughts. Overall revenue was down 15% year over year. Operating income is still on a negative loss. The company does mention that they expect quarter three to still be another down quarter for them in the data center market. The main reason is right now we're seeing most capex, capital expenditure investments going into more of accelerating products opposed to your CPU. So right now there's still some form of CPU inventory correction happening. Most of the money being spent is going to go on things like accelerators, like GPUs and some other forms of maybe ASIC solutions that are meant for accelerating, especially for the AI market. The great thing is that Intel does have a few accelerators, right? They have their GPU Flex. They have their Gaudi, which I've talked about in the past, and I mentioned how their Gaudi platform is definitely one of the big players in the AI market. So they do see right now a $1 billion pipeline on their accelerators and all those that I mentioned. The main player here is Gaudi, and they're saying that they're seeing great response right now from their Gaudi 2 and strong demand. And one of the main reasons, right, is NVIDIA GPUs are very difficult to kind of grab at the moment. So a lot of companies are trying to find some form of alternative. It does seem like Gaudi 2, a DPU, seems to be a nice alternative for certain AI workloads, and they are seeing that $1 billion pipeline. So investors are getting super excited about the numerous different solutions that Intel has in the accelerating market. The company also mentions that they have a great track for kind of roadmap for accelerators, AI accelerators. Like I mentioned, for right now, for 2023, the one that's going to be doing most of the heavy lifting is going to be Gaudi 2. They do mention that they are already expecting Gaudi 3 for 2024, and that's going to be the accelerator that's going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting for them in the AI market. They do mention they already have their first wafers. I wonder if they kind of share it in their presentation. Here they just mentioned Gaudi 3 in the first half of 2024. And in 2025, they are talking about Falcon Shores, which will be their next AI accelerator. And they mentioned for 2026, they also do have Falcon Shore next, already kind of in the pipeline. So it does seem like this company is definitely pushing in the accelerator market. Right now, it's a $1 billion pipeline, and they do expect this to grow over time. Like I mentioned, right now, even though they have a nice amount of products, Gaudi 2 is the big player driving that market right now. And throughout the years, like I mentioned, we have Gaudi 3, we have Falcon Shores, and Falcon Shores 2. The company also did talk about their Foundry service, and I did do a previous video where we looked at TSMC, and we also heard from ASML that there were some companies kind of delaying manufacturing plants. Intel did come out and say that there's no delays at the moment on their Arizona plant. That's great news, right? I did kind of have I thought there was going to be a high probability that because we heard it from ASML, we also heard it from TSMC, that there might be some delays, that Intel might actually say the same thing. But I actually got a comment in one of my previous videos where I did discuss that, and they did mention that, hey, remember, Intel has been doing this for numerous years. They have plenty of plants in the United States, so they might be a little bit more prepared than some of the other players, and it does seem like that's the case. So right now, it definitely was a bullish quarter for the company to some extent. Nothing crazy, right? I wish the perfect quarter would have been this. If we are seeing the growth in the client market, which is great news. We would have expected maybe a higher growth in the data center market, but we know that quarter 3 is going to be weak for them, and they're not going to see much more growth until quarter 4. That would have been better results. And I think if we would have seen the data center market seeing more strength, then maybe this company would have had even a better return. But we can see, as I am recording, the stock is up over almost 9%. Investors are pretty excited. Would I buy or sell the stock at these levels? I mean, obviously, Intel, I've talked about it in the past numerous times. This is a company that's in a turnaround story. They have numerous growth opportunities. I've really talked about their AI market. I think if you want to learn a little bit more about NVIDIA's AI accelerator, especially the Gaudi 2, I did do a video here 3 weeks ago where I said NVIDIA's biggest AI threat is not AMD stock, and I do talk a little bit more about AMD, so definitely check that video out where I talk a little bit more about Intel's kind of AI endeavors. All right, so would I buy or sell Intel at the moment? So definitely I would not sell Intel. I mean, I do believe this company does have numerous growth opportunities. If we see year-to-date response without what we're seeing right now, the stock was up 30%. I do believe with what the stock is up right now, it was going to be closer to maybe 45% year-to-date. This is obviously still underperforming the other players like AMD and like NVIDIA. But I do believe a little bit of the risk has been eliminated, and that's why maybe if you are a little bit more risk tolerant, you don't mind purchasing when the stock was probably in the low 20s. There are certain investors that like to wait for, hey, maybe some of the risks to kind of disappear and then kind of get into, even if they miss the bottom. And I do believe that's what's happening right now. A lot of the risk has been eliminated. Obviously, not all the risk is gone. There's always risk when investment, but a lot of the kind of earlier risk we're seeing, right? So right now, what's the risk that's eliminated? We are seeing a good momentum on their manufacturing and them trying to push the 5 nodes in 4 years, which is great news. Another thing is this is a company that's also kind of increasing their solutions in the AI accelerator. A lot of people were fearing that, hey, the CPU market was going to be gone thanks to AI. That's not the case, but to double down, Intel is also becoming a strong player in the AI market. Finally, they are still on track with their Arizona plant and most likely with all their other plants. So they are going good directions in their manufacturing front. There's obviously still some risk. The major risk is obviously competitions from companies like NVIDIA, like AMD. The second risk I want to say with their manufacturing plant is, are they going to be able to grab customers? They did mention some great partnerships. Are they going to be able to grab enough enough kind of customers as they kind of continue to release their next generation of Intel 3, Intel 28, and Intel 18A. Obviously, there's the possibility, and if they do, it's a question of how long. Is it going to take a lot longer than what investors are expecting? So there is a lot of risk here and there. So I do believe every investor should kind of see it. So would I buy with those thoughts? Would I buy Intel? I mean, I don't have it in my portfolio, and I don't think I'm gonna purchase it anytime soon. I do believe there's other opportunities in the semiconductor market which might give me better probabilities of higher return. So at the moment, I'm probably not purchasing, but this is definitely, I want to say Intel can definitely outperform and might definitely shock a lot of investors within the year or so. And like I said, I don't think it's too late if you believe this company will succeed and will kind of make all those great strides. I think just right now, a lot of the risk has been eliminated. So obviously, you're not going to get this at the bottom. So let me know in the comments below. What are you guys thinking of doing? Are you thinking of buying? Are you thinking of selling? Are you thinking of just kind of looking at this stock? That's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just watching it. I got exposure in the CPU and the GPU market, so I'm not worried if I miss out on this company.